All right, it says we're live, everybody, and welcome, welcome. We'll go through and greet everybody in a second, but first of all, I wanted to, before I introduce the guests, I want to introduce the panel and Skipper's Aquariums. So you guys know Skipper. So I didn't get links in the stream, but I will after we finish. Robert from Tennessee.
Hey.
He don't want to be called Robbie, damn it. He wants to be called Robert. You see that?
It'll always be Bobby.
To me. And then another Rob, from
Hello, guys.
Aquatic Aesthetics. He owns a local fish store that Ed and I frequently live there half the time. I hang out there. But anyway, he owns that. But he's very much one of us. He's one of the fish fam and a hobbyist. So great to have him on the panel. He was just recently, and then last but not least is Chattanooga Ed. A couple of you have heard of him. Ed's on a lot of streams, has his own channel, and he just celebrated getting 1K subscribers. But probably most notably, he's with Fish Room Fever, James, and they're on a couple of times a week. So check him out. But he's on several other programs too. Busy man. Very active in the hobby.
Yes, he is.
And
He's very cool to hang out with.
Much and he's got baby cat there too. Yazi's in the floor here. He's already in trouble. All right, and then our guest is Pam, aka Punchiepaints, and she is a pillar of our community. I hate when people use that expression, but she truly is. I've known Pam for 3 or 4 years, and besides keeping an amazing collection of fish and having awesome OG knowledge about fish, she's an incredible artist. So we want to touch on both of those things, as well as get to know her a little bit better personally. So I see. Welcome, Pam. It's wonderful to have you. And her little co-star there, oh, bless her. She's not getting enough attention. I can see. It's Miss Star. Yazi said he's going to try to hold any
Licky.
Getting a dog. He's so happy. Bless her. Well, welcome, Pam. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm getting licked to death here.
Well,
okay, settle down. Say hi.
She never gets any attention. I think you ignore her till she comes on camera, and that's why she's so excited. I know better. He's creeping around here. He's still talking about Pam getting another dog. I think Pam's his. All right. Okay, Pam, I'm going to let you go back down in the panel. And guys, let's go through and welcome everybody real quick. And I take the first time so I don't have to keep up with where it stops off. Freaky Fish Lady is Holly, Xanadu, Laura Sutton, Jenny Lynn, hey Jen, Shanna, 503 Aquatics, John Larson, JN Aquarium, Jesse in Canada, Patty's Tanks. She said, I need Kaler's Aquatics and Reptiles that I need them now. Okay, Patty, get with me after the show. Ricky, RB Animals Rescue. I see y'all have a hashtag, Cowboy Kaler. So that must be from Susie Q. I don't know. Mike's Aquatics and Things. Mike and I are kind of soulmates, keeping fish and reptiles, but we're opening the same packages in the same places. It's creepy the same days. All right. Who wants to pick up at 3G there?
3G, Jenny Lynn, Paul McCarthy, Patrick Hardy, Holly, Anthony's, Fishy Friends, J. Oliver,
You see the
Big
kitty.
D Smoke, and Colette.
Okay, go back.
I'll pass it on.
Who was the last one you said?
Colette, yes.
No, all right. Y'all forgot a couple at the top. You got Lucky
Yeah.
Stone.
Confused.
Hang on. I'm going to put you back. I'm going to put you in your kennel. Because you're
503 Aquatics.
all excited.
What about
Laura
John?
Sutton. I think I just lost where we were at. I'm terrible with this. I've been out of practice for a while. I haven't been on here for a minute. Jan Aquarium. Yeah, John Larson. I'm tracking now. Paul McCartney. Laura Sutton. We said Anthony DJ. Patty. Big D. I want to say we pretty much got Paul Soltero, Trevor Georgie, DJ Kelly, Xana Doo, Dan's Aquarium, and that Big J, what's up, buddy? And Bruiser CB, I'm at the bottom. Did I miss it? And Mike,
I said my.
Tom's chick. Yeah.
What about AJ Kelly?
I said that one. And then, of course,
Okay.
Susie Q's here.
Okay.
Susie Q, thanks for showing up.
Laura-
Jake Farrell, what's up?
Laura was causing trouble before we started. I saw in the chat. There's Ed in there. Chattanooga Ed's out in there. Yeah.
There is one thing we need to do though.
What's that?
I might just do it. I'm gonna send Pam a stinking can of WD-40 for that damn chair.
You like that?
Sorry, I had to. That's my joke for tonight. Thank you very much.
You notice at the end of Dan's videos now, he calls it Squeaky Chair Productions.
Is that Pam's chair or her hip?
That's my hip. Yeah.
That's what I was guessing.
I'm old, you know.
Listen, I'm crazy. I wouldn't even say that. He still get a hold of you. And Big Tank, Hank, what up, Big Tank?
I got Rob in between us.
Well, just real briefly, guys, in the chat about how we're going to do this, and I've already mentioned that. I just remembered. So I'm going to start off, if that's okay with you, Pam. And sad. I would like to know some detail about you, not 20 minutes, but a couple minutes, like where you were born, where you grew up, marital status, children, that kind of stuff. Just the basic, like a job application, kind of.
Oh, do you want the whole story of my life?
Hell, it sounds like a Tinder account there for a minute.
Yeah.
I was born in Oregon, grew up there. Actually, no, I was born in California, and we moved to Oregon when I was less than a year old. And I grew up in Oregon, and I am divorced, and I have 4 kids, and I live in Wyoming.
That was fast for me. Who's got a question for him?
Gosh.
I've got plenty of questions, but I want everybody else to get.
Yeah, I do. Pam, my question is like, what exactly got you started in doing artwork?
Oh, and doing artwork, I always did artwork, even when I was a little kid. Like everybody else would be out playing, and I'd be drawing. So that's just what I did. And then when I was in high school, I took the art classes in high school, and my junior year, I was the first junior that ever got Artist of the Year, and I got it again when I was a senior, and that's about it. I didn't go to art school because my parents thought that it was a waste of time and that I needed to be a secretary or something like that instead, so they wouldn't let me go to art school.
Well, I
So
gotta say, you do a great job in artwork, and to be honest with you, you did go to art school. I think that you would put everybody to shame there. So.
well, it would have I'm self-taught and I learned something new. Every piece I do, I try to learn something from it. I'm always experimenting. And I think if I would have gone to art school, it would have cut down my learning time quite a bit, because I could have had somebody teach me a lot of the stuff that I've learned on my own. But, it is what it is.
Well, turned out pretty damn good.
And I'm still learning. I learn all the time. So that's just what you do.
There's something
I'm always experimenting with new things, and and like a month or so ago when I did that squirrel for ginger graves, I accidentally got coffee on it, and then I thought, well, I've seen people that paint with coffee, so I just used coffee for the background, and it worked out really well. And I've used it on several pieces since.
Yeah.
So it's just one of those, you're constantly learning new things, learning new tricks. And I know the kitty is in the doorway. Quit.
So I have a question on your fish side. How many years have you been a fish keeper?
Well, off and on. I got my first fish tank when I was about 13. It was kind of, which at that time in the 60s, not much really was known. It was one of those deals where there wasn't that much available as there is now, and there wasn't that much knowledge as there is now easily available. So it was one of those things where, I got the typical Noah's Ark tank with, a couple of things of everything. And I think in that community tank, the last thing I got was a Molly, which the next day had ick, and I went to the fish store, and you basically had a choice of medications between methylene blue and malachite green. So I treated the tank with methylene blue, and everything in the tank died except for that damn Molly, which
Did
is
it
not typical. And then I think the next thing I got was a really gorgeous pair of angelfish. And they were black veil angelfish, and they had super long veil fins. And I had them for quite a long time. And I used to go out with a net out in the driveway because I was in Oregon, Western Oregon, so it rained all the time. So I'd go out in the driveway after a good rain and with a net and scoop mosquito larvae out of the mud puddles and feed the angelfish.
Wow.
Awesome.
And they loved them. They'd eat until their sides would go down like this, and then there'd be a big bulge,
Turn into a pear.
Yeah, but I ended up leaving for a couple weeks and left my mom in charge of my angelfish. And when I got back, the bottom of the tank was full of rotted food, and the dead fish were dead. So I think if I remember right, I think I put the tank away then and didn't get it. And then the next fish that I got was I had wrecked my car, and I was laid up for about a week with my back hurting, and my mom brought me a huge antique fish bowl with 2 goldfish in it, fancy goldfish. And one of them was solid orange. They were both Arandas, and one of them was orange, and the other one was one of the red caps, so white with a red cap. And I named them Crash and Burn, which
Because you've been in the wreck. Because you've been in the wreck.
Crash and burn. Yep, that was my goldfish. And I had them for quite a long time and ended up moving them into a bigger tank, and they got quite large. And then I kind of fell in love with goldfish. And after I got married and started having kids, I started buying like tanks and goldfish, fancy goldfish. I had Arandas, and that's mostly what I had was Arandas because I really love them. But I had a Blackmore and all kind. I had probably at one time I probably had like 25 or so fancy goldfish in different tanks. Which I'll tell you a little story about that too. I had like somebody had given me a handmade 150-gallon tank.
Wow.
And they didn't brace it, so you couldn't fill it up all the way because you could see the front start to bow out, if you filled it up too far. But it still worked pretty good for the goldfish. So I had about 6 goldfish in there. And one day, on my oldest daughter's 16th birthday, we were going to have a big party with a bunch of kids, a bunch of her friends. So big birthday party for her. And that day, we lived right off the highway on a farm. And that day on the highway, line of trucks went by really slow. It took them like most of the day to get by the house, but they were like thumping the ground, checking for oil. I don't know what you call that, but they were like vibrating the ground and looking for oil somehow. But anyway, they were like thumping the ground and stuff. And came time for the party, and all these mothers were dropping off their girls, and that 150-gallon tank cracked.
Oh,
I watched it crack and start to like develop a hole and spew out water while all these people were coming in. And I was like having my daughter hold the tank while I was bailing water out of it, running out the front door with buckets of water. And these parents of some of these rich girls were standing in the driveway with their arms crossed watching me. And I was like, hi. So that was a really fun day.
Sounds like I Love Lucy.
yeah.
And
Well,
then
they should've
I
helped.
think that after I got out of the goldfish, with life and working and kids and all that, and then it was a few years before I got anything. And then one time, with my tax return, I had like $800, and I bought like a 75-gallon tank. And it was a community tank for a while, and I started learning about plants and that kind of stuff. And then I got into discus, and it became a planted discus tank with some, I think there was discus and Congo tetras and cardinals, and I had a bristle nose in there. And yeah, anyway, so then I had discus for a few years. And then I moved around again and didn't have anything in it for a while. And the next time I set it up, I did a community tank with angelfish. And when I shut it down, it was because I was totally disgusted because it was a really beautiful tank. And I was playing around with do-it-yourself CO2 and really growing the plants and stuff. And then I made a fatal mistake for the tank, which was I bought a cobalt blue lobster crawdad thing, which totally destroyed my tank.
Yeah.
And the guy at the store said, "Oh no, they won't bother the fish or anything." And I got up one morning and it's got like a cardinal in one pincher and another fish and one of my rummy nose in another pincher, and I'm like, and my plants are getting dug up, and yeah. So don't ever do that.
Interrupt just a second. There are a couple of people that have made super chats, or the first one was T's Tanks, and probably already gone because just wanted to say hi and leave that. And then 503 Aquatics super sticker. Thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. So, have you found that with all your years of experience, whenever you deal with your fish tanks, have you ever did it the old way you used to do it, or have you found out that it was better to do it the old way, or is it, like better to
Oh,
do it
my
the
knowledge
modern
has
day
grown
way?
and things have changed. Like, when I had my first tank, it was a common thing to once a week completely empty out the tank and scrub everything off and put it back.
Yeah, I did that.
That was just the way it was in the 60s. I mean, that's how you did it. And of course, I don't do that anymore. And I absolutely detest box filters. Sorry, Bob. I do. I absolutely detest box filters. I will not put another box filter in a tank because I hated that thing. But as far as like when I first started with planted tank, there wasn't that much known about it. And I had that 75-gallon tank, and you could buy like clay balls. Some kind of clay balls were what was being sold for substrate for planted tanks. But it would have cost me like $200 to get enough of these balls for substrate. So for a long time, I just had gravel, which actually works. But then I started. It was when I got lights. I spent like $300 on lights, and they lasted less than a week and blew out. And so I started doing research on do-it-yourself stuff and found out I could just use shop lights. And I started researching other stuff, and I started putting kitty litter underneath of the gravel for the plants, because that's kitty litter is just plain clay. So instead of spending all that money on clay balls, I just got the unscented kitty litter. And then eventually I started mixing, like organic potting soil and the kitty litter together. And I still do that. I mean, I know there's all kinds of fancy substrates and stuff that you can buy, but I still mix up my own substrate and cap it either with sand or gravel. So some stuff I still do the old fashioned way, and some stuff you know, I pay attention to what's going on and what's new, but I don't really fall into the consumer buy everything that's new and everything that's big. And like on the 75 years ago, I had a a nice canister filter, and I still have it sitting here, but I don't use it. It still works, but I just use sponge filters now. And yeah, so it's kind of like learn as you go. And some stuff that's new, I look at stuff that's new, but I don't necessarily feel the need to run out and buy everything that's new,
Cool.
if that
Thank
makes
you.
sense.
No, it does actually. Thank you.
Now, Pam, you live way up north where it gets mighty cold. Do you like plan your fish around, the weather, or do you try? How do you keep all those tanks at the right temperatures?
I generally, if they're a species that needs a heated tank, they have a heater in there. I use heaters because
Okay.
I don't keep my house that warm in the wintertime because it would cost a fortune.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Have you ever had a disaster with a heater?
a couple times, yeah.
Oh, bummer.
Yeah, the first time was when I had the discus, and I had a pair that was laying eggs. So I moved him into a 20 long with a cone and everything, and put a heater in there, and the heater stuck and fried the fish. And there's been a couple times since then that I've accidentally fried fish with the heater that stuck on. I haven't ever had one like quit working and the tank get cold, but there's been more than once when I've had them stick on and like get up over 100 degrees and kill all the fish.
Mm.
Nuts.
So that being said, Pam, do you highly recommend people who get a heater to also buy one of those heater um, um, controllers?
That would be a good thing. I've never bought one, but or if you have a fish room, like a dedicated fish room instead of your whole house, if I had like one room, I'd probably heat up that one room and skip the heaters.
Okay.
And Rob's like sitting there quietly staring at me like I'm crazy.
Not crazy at all. That's the way I keep our store. One whole side of the store sits at about 80 degrees.
Yeah.
It's just easier than heaters, even though they all have heaters just as backup.
Yeah. Like say if I had all my tanks in one room, I would just like close the door and heat up that one room and skip the heaters.
Yeah, the funny thing is, with all the heaters in that room, we hardly run the heater, and it gets upwards about 79, 80 degrees, even during the winter.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
How many tanks have you got?
Oh, I've got probably 20 some tanks, but I'm not using that many of them right now because I had to kind of cut them back. But I'm going to, like, some of them I'm going to start up again.
Oh, I can imagine the maintenance with 20 tanks.
What
Heaven.
what do you feed your fish? Because you said earlier you like to harvest mosquito larvae. Do you still do things like that, or is it just
I
all?
don't here because it's a lot drier here, and I'd have to dedicate a tub outside for that. And I have a feeling the neighbors would have a fit. Plus the fact that the county sprays this neighborhood, and they happen to go right by my house on two sides when they spray, and it's like this big arcing spray for mosquitoes. And so I don't do tubs outside or anything anymore because of that. Because the first year when I realized they were doing it, I had a tub of fish out there. I would like hear them coming, and I'd run out and put plastic over the tub real quick and tie it down tight and stuff. And I just don't feel like messing with it.
That's
But it'd be the same
understandable.
thing if I had mosquito in a bucket. They wouldn't. I mean, the county sprays here like once every other week at least, sometimes once a week.
What are they trying to kill? Mosquitoes?
Yeah, mosquitoes. Yep, they spray for mosquitoes.
Yeah, they started doing that around here when West Nile virus was real big. They were using airplanes out here in the sticks.
Oh, that sucks.
Mm-hmm.
But like I say, I can't avoid it. Just the way where my house sits and stuff, when they do it, I get hit on two sides with it. So it pretty much covers my whole yard. So
Yeah.
I don't even try to do tubs because of that.
Do you still have your turtle tub inside?
What's that?
Do you still have your turtle tub inside?
Oh yeah, yep. Other people have a couch. I have a 100-gallon tub with turtles in it.
When the day that you were talking about that in Dwayne Kitchell's stream, I'm like, I need to know this person.
Yes, I'm odd. I honestly don't have a couch because I just don't have room for it, and I don't really worry about it because it's just me.
Right.
So
Same.
And also for the people in here who does not know, Pam has a stream on Wednesday nights and Saturday nights at 11.
yeah, 11 o'clock Eastern time. It's like 9 o'clock my time. One of the reasons that I do it, well, I started doing it late to like not step on other people's streams, and it's just I've been doing it for a couple of years now, so I just leave it the same. But also, you'll notice I have a quilt covering up the window back there. It's because this time of day, if I try to do it earlier, I've got light coming from both sides, and especially back there when it comes through, it just totally like blinds the camera. So I do it right after dark, and so that I don't have to deal with that. And on Wednesday nights is mostly like fish related, but we mostly just seem to bullshit a lot. And Saturday night is my art stream where I get other fish fam like Ed when he's around, and we do art stuff and bullshit. So yeah, and
I survived the bullshit.
I've been doing it for like I think it's like 3 years now that I've been streaming. So
think it's been longer than that.
It might have been longer than that because time
Yeah.
doesn't fly, and I know it's been a while.
Am I
'Cause I know
bullshit?
I started mowing for Dan in 19, and you were already doing it. So I'd probably say about 4, maybe even 5.
Yeah, it could be that long. I'm not sure.
Well, I think I met Bob through your stream.
Yeah.
When I changed my
Awesome.
name to Chattanooga Ed, that's when Bob realized that I lived close to him.
So you're blaming it on Pam that you met him?
Yep.
Yeah, it's all my fault.
I remember when he said he lived in Cleveland, I'm like, oh, that's nice. Because I was so new to Chattanooga, I had no idea where that was.
He's like, damn, I got a stalker.
No.
Oh,
Oh,
he
man.
had to go. Thanks, Ricky.
Yeah, he's a busy dude.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, he is. Not many dogs and cats. And fish, he's got to be busy. Well, Pam, we mentioned that we saw that you have a dog, and we know that you've got fish, and then Bob mentioned turtles. Do you have any other types of things?
Not right now, no. I've had all kinds of stuff. I've had horses and raised hogs and sheep and all kinds of stuff. But turkeys and chickens and guinea hens and rabbits and guinea pigs and yeah. And I used to have pygmy goats, and I would raise them and sell the babies at the county fair.
Oh, wow.
And I used to raise guinea pigs and sell them to the pet stores. And yeah, I've done a lot of stuff. I've always loved animals. So
Are pygmy goat males just as nasty as normal goat males?
yes, they are. I wouldn't.
Nuts.
I had 6 females, and I would rent a male for a month and time it so that they would have their babies, and the babies would be big enough to sell at the county fair.
Cool.
But I wouldn't have one on the place because they're nasty. So like I say, I just like rent one from somebody that had them I'd rent it for a month and get all the females
Good
pregnant,
for you.
and then send it on its way because they are kind of nasty little critters.
I thought you had a cat.
Oh yeah, I've got 2 cats. I forgot about them.
Do you still have axolotls?
Yes, I do.
Now, do you have just 3?
2.
2. Okay. Well, was one you were wondering was a boy or a girl?
Both of them are boys.
Okay. Well, is your goal to someday have some baby axolotls if you can get a female?
Yes, I want to get a female.
I'm going to
What-
send you a female out of these last 4 that I got. They're starting to sex out. 2 of them are boys, so surely the other 2, one of them will be a girl. It doesn't matter which kind they are, does it?
Nah.
They're
What colors?
What? Bobby's trying to get attention there.
No, he's doing what I'm doing.
Oh,
No,
I thought, he's going like that. Okay. I got it.
This guy is he's the one that I can talk to when it comes to those salamanders / whatever you call them.
There,
Axolotls.
I was hoping you were going back to goats.
I'll
I
tell you
still
what, there is absolutely nothing cuter than a baby pygmy goat, a newborn pygmy goat. They weigh like a pound, and they got huge eyes, and they're just cuter than shit.
Now, what does a pygmy goat sell for about? Or at least did when you were selling them at the flea or at the fair?
This was many years ago, and I sold them for like $75 a piece.
Okay.
And the males, I would put bands on to neuter them. As soon as they were born, they got bands on their nuts, so their nuts would fall off.
See, that's what I was guessing about how much they still go for. Maybe they cost more.
There used to be a lady that had a farm that raised them between you and I, like down Highway 59 or whatever that is. I don't know if she's still there.
There's somebody that has buffaloes down that road.
Yeah.
Oh, I do see the goats there too. There is somebody that has goats.
On the right, is pygmy goats.
Yeah, I had Nubians first when we first got into raising goats. It was for my kids who were in 4-H, so we got some Nubians. And I was left with the chore because you have to, when they'd take them to the fair, they had to be milking and stuff. So I was left with the chore of milking those damn goats. And I absolutely hated doing it so much because every time I'd like tie them to the fence and I had a stand and everything and the bucket underneath of them. And every time I'd be almost done and the damn goats would step in the bucket. And then all the milk's like thrown away because the goat stepped in it.
I used to
So
love
I
goats.
got rid of them and got pygmy goats because you don't have for the kids to show them at the fair. They didn't have to be milking. And then and then I found out that I could sell the babies real easily too. So for pets.
When I was a kid, I used to get mad at all the kittens trying to get to the milk.
Yeah, the cats.
And you'd squirt one, but they loved that. You'd be squirt right in the face with some milk.
I used to do that on the farm
Yeah.
when I worked at a dairy farm.
Milking cow. I used to help my grandpa once in a while. I'd go up and help him. He had a dairy farm. But milking cows is a whole lot easier than milking those damn goats was.
Yeah, I only have done a cow, never milked a goat.
So, have you ever kept puffers? You already know Bob does.
Only pea puffers. I've had them before.
Bobby,
I had big puffers.
Bobby knows where I'm going with this, and I want to bring this up before I forget because I know I will. And 2 streams ago, there was a question that came up about puffers. Are you supposed to deworm them every so many months, Bob?
Supposed to what?
Deworm them.
Everybody recommends it. Everybody that I know that knows puffers recommends that you deworm them when you get them. I know Rob deworms his.
Yes. My recommendation on that would be yearly if you feed them snails. Snails are where the parasites come from. And if you've got pea puffers that are eating bloodworms and you have no snails in your tank, deworm them once, maybe a follow-up a month later just to be sure, and you should never have a problem from there. But the second you bring in snails, you can start to see issues.
Now I know what happened to my pea puffers. Thank you.
Pam, do you still breed Farewell? Oh, I'm gonna kill the name Farewellas.
No, I don't. I don't.
They're so neat. You were the one that turned me on to those.
They
I
are
love
really awesome, and I'll probably get some more. But I kind of have my eyes on. I don't remember what exactly species it is, but they're a smaller one and they're red, and I'm kind of got my eyes on getting some of them.
Now that being said, would those be the red lizard catfish by chance?
What it sounds like.
It might be, yeah.
Those are gorgeous. I like those. Man.
Yeah, that's kind of on my list because, like I said, I'm slowly tearing tanks down and getting ready to set them up in one room, like I was talking about. And when I get that done and start setting up tanks, I want to do some different things than I've done before.
Thank you, Punchy. Red lizard whiptail.
Yeah, that's it. That's kind of on my list of things that I want to try. And I also want to try the when I'm ready, I want to do the
That's right, Ed.
Royal Green Indian Pipefish.
You say pipefish?
Pipefish.
Oh, those are cool too. I actually had 2 of the red lizard whiptails, and I messed up because they're kind of sensitive.
Oh, those, yeah, they're so pretty. Yep, that's what I want to try next.
They're cool as crap though. I had them. I loved them.
Those are awesome.
And I want to set up a couple black water tanks too and try that. because I've never done that
All
before.
the,
So it's kind of
all
the
the,
quit. It's kind of the same as with my art. You know, you're constantly learning and trying new things.
Absolutely.
of all the fish you've kept, which ones would you not keep again and why?
Well, the first one's really obvious, and I'm not even sure if people sell them anymore. But years ago, you used to get these stupid things they sold for algae cleaners. That's Chinese algae eater.
Yeah.
Yeah, those things are awful. That's
Uh,
like never again.
Yeah.
And I'll never
Midnight
again
on
get
that.
any kind of crawdad and drop it into a planted tank full of fish. That's something that I learned. I also learned years ago. I had a big tank with mostly it was just it was crash and burn, my two fancy goldfish, and I decided that neons would look really pretty swimming around with them, and that lasted maybe 4 hours
They got hungry.
before the last one was gone.
Bummer.
So yeah, I got like 10 neons, and my ex-husband got home from work, and I'm like, "Oh, this looks so cool! Come see what I did." And I'm like, "Oh, there's one of them back behind the heater," and I was like, "Oh, yeah, that did not work out real well."
Now they always say you learn as you go.
Yep. Well, I did a lot of learning and fish slaughtering and the learning, but like I say, years ago, there wasn't. Bob knows this. There wasn't that much. There wasn't as much knowledge available, and especially not easily available like it is now. And there also wasn't as much variety of fish available.
Mhm. Even whenever I started, I think it was the 90s. Yes, there wasn't a big variety neither.
Yeah, well, in the 60s, there really wasn't.
Yeah, Woolworths was all you had.
That's all I had.
Yeah, you could get like platies and mollies and neons and just basic fish like that. But all these epistogrammas and all that, they never heard of them. Yeah.
We had paradise fish before betas, and then betas came along.
Guppies were super strong until like the 80s when they started bringing all the other species in, and they kind of got pushed out.
Yeah, I never really got into guppies.
Well, I'm glad they're coming back.
Mhm.
But it is crazy how that works. How one will get popular and push another one down.
It's
Yeah.
a trend. Seems like it's a trend. I've been noticing that a lot lately.
Pam, we're talking about the old times and the way things used to be with your experience and knowledge, and it is impressive. And I refer people to Pam. I still do, like Sandy Dowdy. She's one of the mods. When I first met Sandy, she was asking me some goldfish questions, or she's a keeper of goldfish. She just wanted some more knowledge, and so I referred her to her. I sicked her on you, Pam. Anyway, and I've done that with several people. What advice would you give to somebody new starting out in the hobby?
Read as much as you can before you start buying fish. Like get your tank set up and stuff, but there's so much knowledge out there. There is so much knowledge out there, but don't get your knowledge like off of Facebook or something like that, because there's a lot of people that have opinions that don't know what they're talking about, and they're the quickest. If someone asks a question, those are always the first people that seem to answer. So, but there is a lot of knowledge available on YouTube and, just Google search and stuff, and kind of know what you're doing and have your tank set up for a couple weeks before you decide what kind of fish you're going to keep. Research those fish. If you're keeping more than one kind of fish in the tank, research them and make sure they're compatible both in water and with each other. Don't put neons with goldfish. And yeah. And don't buy a crawdad and drop it in your tank.
Yeah. I have to agree with you about the advice thing. It always amazes me. And even you see it in strings, it's well intentioned, but people will
Yeah,
ask.
it's well intentioned, but like I said, when you ask a question on one of the groups on Facebook, the first people that always seem to answer don't know what they're talking about, and they are the most firm and defensive in their opinions too.
Right.
So
Yeah. But it amazes me that people will, they've kept 6 fish for 5 years or 1 year, but they know everything about it. And, and they're going to give wrong advice. They're not experienced, and I really don't like to give advice on a fish that I haven't kept. And I've started saying
exactly, yeah,
I
yeah.
don't have any experience with
And a lot of people think that you have to have all the latest equipment and all the biggest canister filters and all the most expensive stuff, and you don't. You don't.
Yeah. And I will say, for people who would like to know how to do everything wrong, just come to me and ask me. I'll tell you.
Well, I certainly don't know everything, and I learn stuff every day, both in fish and with my art. So it's like you can't like lock yourself into an opinion and that's it, period. And it's the same thing with art. If you start, and with art especially, if you start thinking that you know everything, you're done growing. You're just done. You might as well quit because you're done.
exactly.
And that's definitely
And
it's the same thing with fish. I mean, you might know everything about one species, but that doesn't mean that you're going to be able to get another species and be just as successful with it.
sometimes what something else develops or there's more recent knowledge. So forgetting the old stuff, it's not as good. It's always a jump, it's not just learning, it's unlearning and relearning sometimes too. So
Yep, exactly.
they're always
But you gotta sift through the knowledge too, because like I say, a lot of stuff I still do kind of the old fashioned way. And when you learn something new, you gotta like weigh it with what you know works and weigh your options and put a little bit of thought into it and if it makes sense and all that stuff.
right.
I always say research is the key before you want to keep something.
Yeah.
Because I mean, let's face it, the price of the fish now, especially if you want to get into something that you've never seen before, I would recommend you doing your research before you just go in and buy it.
Yeah.
Throw it in your tank, and then you're out 100. Especially saltwater fish now. It's crazy the amount that they jumped up.
Yeah, and guys, don't trust the store owner or the
No,
salesman.
they don't. They don't always know what they're talking about.
And that's very true. And some will just try to make the sale.
Yeah, it's like that crayfish when I bought it. The guy said, "Oh yeah, it'll be great in the plant tank, and it won't bother the plants, and it won't bother the fish." Well, it ate a bunch of fish because it would catch them at night while they were sleeping, and it totally destroyed my planted tank, digging holes and stuff.
I'm going to elaborate off what Rob said because I was at a store and it happened right in front of me, and it was fish that I've kept. I pulled the lady to the side. I said, "Don't listen to them. They're telling me everything wrong." And she goes, "Well, how do you know?" And I told her the history of this stuff that I've kept, blah, 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 blah. And she goes, "Thank you very much." She's about to spend a lot of money. I said, "You don't want to do what they're telling you. It's not going to work. You're going to be upset when you get home and these fish start dying because something." The first thing I ask is, "What fish do you have in that tank you want to put it in?" They asked that, but they totally ignored it.
And you got to do the same thing, like with when something goes wrong, and you need to medicate or whatever, or a lot of fish stores, if you go in and tell them you've got a problem, they start throwing these big expensive bottles of meds at you.
Yep.
buy this, buy this, buy this. Do your research, because a lot of times the solution is fairly simple. A lot of times you do need to get meds, but a lot of times the solution is a lot simpler than that.
You can always get the generic meds too. Look what they do with us. It's done the same way with fish too. It's all sometimes it's just a name brand. Look at your ingredients.
I don't say it in defense of Rob, but just as a matter of fact, he doesn't do those things. The reason he's on our panel is he has a lot to
Oh,
teach.
yeah, I figured that, or he'd be climbing through the box and beating me up already.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be saying those things if that were the way I was.
Right.
And there are some good fish stores out
Oh, yeah.
there, some
Oh,
good
definitely.
owners.
There
Don't
are
get me
some good
wrong,
ones, but there are some that
but everyone
don't
should do
really know
their
what
own
they're talking
research.
about. Yep.
He just decided one day to open a fish store. He's a long-time hobbyist, a long time, and knows his stuff. So, and I've seen that time after time. He's saved me a lot of money, and I appreciate it. But not you, Ed. I think you disagree. No,
Yeah.
Ed disagrees,
We-
Rob.
We only have 2.5 good store owners in this city.
Oh, okay. All right. What does Canesto say? Buy the ingredients, not the brand. If you can get the ingredients.
Yeah, a good example is your General Cure and Fritz Paracleanse, exactly the same thing. 75 and 25 milligrams of praziquantel and metronidazole. Even though I probably said that name wrong, but exact same thing. Just look at the ingredients, and in fact, right now, just so you know, if you think erythromycin is something you would use, and you see it available at your fish store, buy it now. We are going through a shortage. I cannot get a hold of it.
Oh.
API tells me they are waiting on approval from the FDA for the shipment of base ingredients. So that's
And he
just
told
a
me that
little.
like a week ago, but I didn't want to share it with Ed or anybody, so they could.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, Bob. Thanks, buddy.
But it all should be good within about 3 weeks to a month, and everything should be better on the market. They tell me.
Awesome. All right. Anything else for Pam, guys? I've been trying to watch the chat and I haven't seen any
You
questions.
didn't ask me any art questions.
Pam, what is your favorite art medium?
Ooh, that's a good
Charcoal. I've always loved charcoal. It's because it kind of breaks it down to the basics. A lot of people, when they use color, which I'm careful not to do, but how do I put this? They try to use color to carry the painting, but charcoal breaks it down into your basic lights and darks. And if you learn to do that, it transfers over to color. And if you're having trouble with that, a good thing to do is like take a picture of your painting and then put it on the computer and make it black and white. And you'll see real quick if your values are good and your lights and darks are good and stuff. But using charcoal and learning with charcoal will teach you a lot of that stuff.
I love that tip of making the photo black and white. That's a
Yeah,
great tip.
it gives it breaks it down to where you can see the lights and the darks and the color isn't interfering, because a lot of people rely too much on the color, and if you break it down to black and white, it's just all the values are there's no definite lights and no definite darks. It's all in the middle tones, and that's not good.
I can tell you the one thing that
about.
I had a lot of favoritism in art class was the shading that we did.
Yeah.
You talked about just a short thing about shadowing and how to make a shadow look realistic and that kind of thing. Like, and you used a horse as an example, a white horse, I think. And that was fascinating. I never knew all that went into making.
Oh yeah. If you go to paint a white horse, there's a couple things with that. If you go to paint a white horse, it's going to have the color of the light where the sun's hitting it, So, like, it can be like a yellow, or if it's like a different atmosphere, it could be blue or whatever. But you're going to have the color of the light, and you're going to have reflections. Like if it's standing in a field of grass, you're going to have green on the belly, on the bottom of the belly. And actually, where the true color of the horse is in the painting, like you've got the light, and you'll have reflections from the sky too. So you've got reflections and you've got light, and where the light, so the light's on top and the reflections are on the bottom, and some light will be reflected up on the bottom too. The true color of the horse will just be like in the middle where the two meet, if that makes any sense.
It
And
does.
also, when you're doing a painting, especially wildlife and stuff, it works for me, but it's not necessarily like the only way to do it. But I use a fairly limited palette so that the colors that are used in the animal are the same colors that are mixed up used in the background. And that way, like, I don't know if you've ever seen a painting where it looked like the animal was like cut out and pasted on the background.
Mhm.
It avoids that because the animal and the background are mixed up out of the same color, so they belong together. And it makes sense if you think about nature, because everything is affected by the color of the light that day, including the grass, including the animal, including the trees. So they're basically, yeah, all going to have kind of the same colors in them, just mixed up in different proportions.
I, for one, would
That's probably boring to everybody.
well, that's fine if people are bored, but I was going to say, I, for one, would like to see you do some shorts like this, even if they're shorts or if they're lives or something, so that those of us that have your art can apply, your methods to that and look at that. I would enjoy it a lot more.
Yeah, I should do that.
Yeah, you should.
I've been getting real lazy about doing videos. I need to do videos more.
Well, do it in videos.
Yeah.
Skipper's been telling me that we're out of time, so reach up and pop him in the chin. He's making us
Oh.
have
Oh my goodness, that hour went so fast, didn't it?
to.
It did. I'm gonna tell you, I really enjoyed this stream. It was great.
Will you do a part 2, Pam?
Yeah, sure.
All right. Deal.
Thank you so much, Pam.
Yes, thank you.
Oh, thank you guys for having me up and putting up with me and listening to me.
It was a pleasure. All right, guys. Thank you, everybody, for the super chats, for the mods, for the members, and the lurkers. All right, guys. We're out of here. Thank you, guys.
Okay, bye, everybody.
Bye.